And welcome to a new episode of Physical Media Format here on the Movie Dogs channel. As you can see, I have amassed a decent collection of John Hughes films. John Hughes was one of my favorite directors, filmmakers from the 1980s and in the 90s. He did so much, and he had such a big influence, especially on this generation's filmmaking. If you watch Spider-Man No Way Home, the first of the Marvel Spider-Man movies, or MCU movies, whatever you call them, there was a big feel of a John Hughes film in that movie. And as you can see, I don't have all of his films. I'm missing, obviously, The Breakfast Club, Only the Lonely, Some Kind of Wonderful, Pretty in Pink. Some of those movies he didn't even direct, he wrote and produced. But we're going to focus on the films right here that are, I'm not going to go through every individual one and show you all the alternatives or anything like that. We're also going to just do a little small retrospect of John Hughes and just the fun movies and your favorite moments. While you're at it, on the comment section down below, what is your favorite John Hughes movie? What's your favorite John Hughes moment? Don't forget, hit that thumbs up. And hit the notification bell and the subscription bell while you're at it, so you can enjoy so much more that the Movie Dogs have to offer. All right, let's get to it. We're going to go start here with this is Michael Keaton vehicle, Mr. Mom, which co-starred the very lovely Terry Garr, and Martin Mull was in it as well. And you'd be surprised who else has been, character actors like Christopher Lloyd, and Jillian. But it was a fun little film. It was written by John Hughes, wasn't directed by him. It was one of his first projects after Vacation. And, John Hughes did a lot of self-autobiographies in his work. He added a lot to them. But I'd say, guys, if you haven't seen Mr. Mom yet, it's one of Michael Keaton's best early films. And it's one of his funniest moments. So do check it out. Okay, well, we're going to get into, I think, his best film ever. And funniest. And that was Planes, Trains, Automobiles, starring Steve Martin and the legendary John Candy. And you're going to notice that John Candy and John Hughes worked together at least 6 or 7 times in their career. For some reason, even though John Candy had some great films outside of John Hughes films, John Hughes just for some reason knew how to get the magic out of John Candy and just elevate his performance, whether it was a big part or, a small part. John Candy and John Hughes had a great collaboration. And I hated the fact that shortly after John Candy's death, I think John Hughes retired from directing, continued to produce, but Plane, Trains, and Automobiles, which I'm going to do a whole retrospect on it on the Movie Dog Show one day, but you can see here the Hughes Entertainment logo, kind of reminiscent of a Canadian flag a little bit. But again, God, this movie was so fun. And then I can't, again, if anybody hasn't watched any John Hughes movies, this is probably be the first one to start with. Some people may say Breakfast Club, but I'd say start with this one. Start with the John Candy starred John Hughes film. Also, another movie I'm missing is, oops, sorry, as I knocked the camera, is She's Having a Baby. Another great film starring Kevin Bacon. All right. I have watched the living daylights out of this movie when I was a kid, when I had, when I first bought it on VHS. Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Matthew Broderick at his best. Some people think that Anthony Michael would have probably eventually gotten this part if he hadn't had the falling out with John Hughes or whatever. But, again, I don't see anybody else. I mean, really, nobody else could have played Ferris Bueller. They did a TV show a few years later, and it just didn't work with Charlie Slater as the character role. But, again, we're going to do its own little retrospective on the Movie Dog Show. But, this wasn't the first original release. The first original release obviously had the purple grayish sticker. But, again, another great film. Now, I'm not sure if Only the Lonely or Curly Sue. I'm believing that this movie, Curly Sue, which starred James Belushi and Kelly Lynch, I believe this right here was his final film, as a director. This was actually not the original release. You can see it was Warner Brothers Hits, which was when Warner Brothers was putting a lot of their movies on discount. They would say Warner Brothers Hits, and for some reason that particular label right there garnered it, knocked down to like like $7 or something like that, or even less. But anyway, Curly Sue, I have to watch it again. It was a real good movie that I can remember, but it just, I think by then John Hughes pretty much was kind of burned out. And I think it was one of the reasons why he ended up leaving the filmmaking, or the director's chair, at least. But, again, it was a nice little cute film. And, it really has its place in the John Hughes film library. It was different, and he was kind of, again, it was kind of like the Home Alone, girl version of Home Alone. It's the best way you can describe it. But we're going to get into some deep cuts with 16 Candles. As you can see right here, this is actually a second release because it has the MCA Universal Home logo on it. But of course, this was one of his Okay, sorry about that. Had a little bit of technical difficulty with my camera. It happens. But anyway, as I was saying, this was one of his, it was his, I think it was his first directorial effort, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. But it was the one or it was Breakfast Club, I think it was, sorry. But anyway, this one right there kind of really knocked it into the stratosphere when it came to being a John Hughes film. Anthony Michael Hall and Molly Ringwald, which they appeared in at least 3 films apiece, which is another movie I forgot I don't have, is Weird Science. That's another John Hughes movie I don't have here in the VHS collection. But, they would do, she did Pretty in Pink and The Breakfast Club and 16 Candles. A lot of people called it the Molly Ringwald trilogy. And then Anthony Michael Hall was in this and The Breakfast Club and Weird Science. But because they wanted to move on from teen roles or whatever and everything, more mature themed films, John Hughes, kind of had a falling out. But you can see that old traditional logo from MCA Universal. But this film right here is actually my favorite John Candy film, Uncle Buck. When you look back at it now, I don't know if it aged well or not, but I still have fun watching it. I saw it when it came out in theaters. You can see the old MCA logo that was on a lot of the video labels in the 80s. And but no, this was one of his fun films. Again, I think this is the first time he worked with John Candy. And again, he was just able to bring out that magic that John Candy had at full scale, and he just did such a great job in their collaborative work. But they even made a TV show out of this. They made a lot of TV shows out of a lot of John Holmes. Sorry, wrong actor, wrong genre. But John Hughes films and Uncle Buck, they just never worked. Weird Scientist, I think the only one that actually worked well as a show. But again, and also introduced the world to Macaulay Culkin, which we're going to get into here in a little bit. But again, here's another one of John Candy's and John Hughes' works together. The Great Outdoors. Love this movie. Absolutely love this movie. Just a fun film. Dan Aykroyd was really great. Did a really over-the-top performance as Roman. Let's see, great Outdoors logo there on those classic MCA logos. But who cares? If you ever get a chance to watch this movie, the raccoons will steal the show. But now, as we were talking about Macaulay Culkin, the Home Alone movies. Now, he produced Home Alone 3, but we're not going to talk about it because it sucked. Anyway. Home Alone 1 and 2, I saw both of them in theaters when they came out, and they were both great fun films. Of course, it put Macaulay Culkin in the stratosphere as one of the highest paid child actors of all time. Don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. But again, Joe Pesci, Daniel Stern, did a great comic duo in these capers. Again, they were written and produced by John Hughes, not directed. It was actually directed by oh god, drawing a blank here. Chris Columbus, who would go on. That's right, Chris Columbus, who also wrote Goonies, and would go on and direct the first 2 Harry Potter films. And he would also direct another great adaptation called Rent. Anybody hasn't had a chance to watch Rent? But anyway, Home Alone 1 and 2, great films. Home Alone was one of the top grossing box office hits of that year and of all time. It made a lot of damn money. See those old Fox logos from the 90s. But, of course, there would be a couple more sequels and a Disney Plus sequel that we won't talk about because those suck. Now, you're also wondering, why is Beethoven here? Well, not only is Beethoven an Ivan Reitman, the late Ivan Reitman produced film, but it was also written under an assumed name by John Hughes. He wrote the screenplay. I guess he didn't want his name affiliated or creative differences. I don't know. But he did have his name, altered. And I think it was under the name of Edmund Dates and another writer named Amy Holden Jones. But again, to me, they count as John Hughes written films. He just did it under a different pen name. And so, it's I love the first 2. I actually like the second one better because they had puppies, and But again, I like the first 2. Of course, they made dozens of sequels afterwards that were just very inferior, and they were directed videos, and But these first 2, with the late Charles Grodin, they just had, Saint Bernard's became a big thing then, but again, there was nice, heartwarming films when it comes to animal films. And I said, John Hughes he just had his thumb in a lot of things, and he was able to really capture the heart of the story. And that's what made him such a damn good writer. And all right, well, we're going to get into the movie that really put him in the stratosphere. Vacation. National Lampoon's Vacation, which starred Chevy Chase, and was directed by the late Harold Ramis. It was based on a story that John Hughes had wrote for the National Lampoon. I think it was called Vacation 69 or 68, something like that. But it was based on the experiences of going on vacations with his family, his mom and dad, as a young child. And he wrote it into an article for the Lampoon. And then they liked it so much, they wanted it because they were in the movie-making business because of the success of Animal House. And they got Chevy Chase, who's one of National Lampoon's big stars. They and not only just a few years off of coming from Saturday Night Live. This was one of the biggest films at Chevy Chase's career, and I think it was one of Harold Ramis's first directorial efforts. But you can see this is an old school Warner Brothers, not the old school VHS clamshells, but again, the case. Everybody remembers that old gray flip from Fuji or Scott. They would always have that. And of course, John Hughes. Some people don't even think John Hughes was involved with the sequels, but he was. He actually wrote the story and part of the screenplay of European Vacation. And then he came back to the producing and co-writing and getting. He was originally Chris Columbus to direct this movie, but Chris Columbus did not get along with Chevy Chase at all, even before filming. So, but again, Christmas Vacation, which is considered the best out of all of them. Of course, there was a soft reboot sequel that came out with Christina Applegate, which was okay, but it wasn't, I'm sorry, you can't have a vacation film without Chevy Chase. But, this came out right around time, Christmas time, and it's now become a Christmas staple for everybody. And, this is the original release. Well, I think it's a later release, but the original packaging. But, again, Randy Quaid, the infamous Randy Quaid. I don't even know if he's still on the run or not, but anyway, I always loved this poster. Hopefully get it one day. I actually, love the posters from all of them. Too bad they didn't all kind of resemble each other. But again, and then of course there was Vegas Vacation. That it had its moments because Randy Quaid was in it, but it just because it didn't have the name National Lampoon's on top of it. I can't remember the what if there was a legal ramifications for it or something. And I think by then John Hughes, I think, had passed, so that Hughes magic just wasn't there. But again, I had Randy Quaid, and you can't go wrong when it comes to the beautiful Beverly D'Angelo either. Or Wayne Newton. But anyway, that's the lesser of the films. But again, folks, if you guys haven't ever watched a John Hughes film, don't knock it unless you try it. It's it's one of those staples from especially the 1980s. But when it comes to, as I drop things, when it comes to just fun entertainment that can relate to teenagers or to the whole family and adults, because it's all relatable, because John Hughes had such a wonderful staple on capturing life and the human heart, and he just had such a, as I said, an unbelievable way to grab a hold of that and make art out of it. That's basically what you can say. He was the conductor, and this was his music, and for some reason he decided I had enough, and sometime he stopped, and then, oh God, I think it was probably about a decade ago, he was out walking in the park and had a heart attack and passed away, sadly. So you never know if he had anything else tucked away or any other stories. I just personally, a lot of these films mean a lot to me. I had a great time watching them with my family or watching them with my friends and stuff like that. So go ahead, check out a John Hughes film. Just pop it in, whether he's written or produced, or even written, produced, and directed it. Anything that has a John Hughes staple on it, you're not going to be disappointed, because it had some type of magic, and he did have like a magic touch when it came to capturing life and lampooning it at the same time. So, all right, folks. Well, that's my my little tribute. This is a longer episode than expected, but again, hit that thumbs up. If you haven't yet subscribed to this channel, that subscription button somewhere down around there, and a notification bell. Get info on all updates on new videos that are on this channel. All right, folks. Still got a long road ahead of us on Season 3, the final chapter of Physical Media Format. I want to thank you all for taking the time to just sit back and reminisce, and hope that the glitches that I have on this video is not that bad, and I don't have to redo this video again. But one way or another, you're hopefully not going to notice. All right. Well, folks, that's been it for me here on the Movie Dogs channel. This has been Physical Media Format. Thanks for watching. Please keep on watching, and have fun with the movies, folks. Don't take them too serious. Bye.